Hello everybody, my name is Notepad Anon and I write games for fun, so what are we doing today? Today we're going to be working more on THEOMACHY, a game about being demigods. Most notably, we are going to be working on combat today, or conflicts. It's going to be a little bit different in that regard. Also, somebody asked me what happened in Ohio in Rifts, and the answer is Chi-Town. Chi-Town happened. Ohio is the literal center of everything wrong in Rifts. That's the best part. Tolkien also happened there. We don't talk about Tolkien. No, God. Hello, everybody. Hopefully everyone's having a good day today. I know I'm having a good day. It may be, unfortunately for me, it may be Valentine's Day, and I am very lonely. However, I was a very lonely person. That means I get to spend time with you all. Isn't that so much fun? Right. That's what I like to tell myself. That's what I like to tell my schizo delusion. But yes, we're going to be working on this today. Chernobyl, Ohio. Yeah. We don't fuck. Yeah, Ohio is built different. This is a noticeable thing. Ohio is just an unfortunate place for everybody involved. Like, it's just bad. Like, it's not like good bad, like just scary bad. Like, scary bad. Like, cause like everything wrong in Ohio, like anything that goes wrong in Ohio, it happens in Ohio, man. Fucking Cleveland's there, it's like Columbus. Like, people think, like, people meme on it, but that's where Tolkien happened. Like, we don't fuck with Tolkien. It went whack around there. But yeah, it's, hopefully everyone's having a good time. The reason why the stream's a little bit odd today and not yesterday is I wanted to get the Bluebeard's Bride. What's the thing rating? Not vinyl? What? Nani the fuck? But yeah, generally speaking, the reason why there wasn't a video of stream yesterday, the chemical rating over Ohio, let's actually give you an idea of why Ohio is now a godless land and why it's actually very horrifying. This is Ohio. Good Ohio. Yeah. Ohio train derailment, aggravated vehicular assault. The big thing that I can't remember the exact Ohio train spill chemicals. Completely already off topic. Let's see, it was vinyl chloride. That's what it was, vinyl chloride. That's really bad, by the way, like really bad. And it ain't gonna get much better anytime soon. I'd also like to thank, why do people do this to me? Quindabro 122. I'm gonna mispronounce your name, brother. Thank you for following. We are at 207 followers, not 107. It's been a while since we've been at 207. People are pinging me again. Why are people pinging me? Is it going to be a good reason people are pinging me? Absolutely not, because it's me. Let me think. Yeah, we did the Bluebeard's Bride video today. Bluebeard's Bride video hasn't done very well, but I thought it would be only the most appropriate video to talk about. Obviously, here is my YouTube. Yeah, it hasn't done phenomenally well, because it's fucking Bluebeard's Bride and nobody gives a fuck about this. Yeah, it's one of those games that, probably very few people give a rat's ass about because it's so niche and it's such a weird game. And I think it is, but I think it is interesting to kind of talk about in this world of ours. Let's see, of the more latest videos, Sword World Case has been doing pretty well. Sword World video has been doing pretty well. We're almost up to 1,000 views actually on the micro case. That's kind of interesting to me. Generally speaking, the views have been doing pretty alright. Some do way better than others, of course, because people get more interested in certain videos, and people sometimes don't want to watch others. Very simple that way. Generally speaking, though, like, yeah, like things have been going pretty good. View count wise, we've actually crossed 7,000 views on the Thirsty Sword Lesbian video, which I find very amusing. It is also no longer my most disliked video. It is actually my third most disliked video, second only to the original case, which I admit the original case isn't very good. But I also kind of bait people because I call it gaysploitation, and I stand by that completely. And Fabula Ultima. Fabula Ultima has almost a 50%, like, there's a good chunk of people who hate the Fabula Ultima video. Even though most comments have been actually pretty friendly on it, like pretty supportive on it, usually like the thing that people get, it is bad because people have been kind of like agreeing. Yeah, people have agreed with me on most things. That's the thing. Like, people actually kind of agree with me on the points I make, and I don't attack the game as much as I could have. Yeah, that's kind of the update there. I wanted to get things out for Valentine's Day because I thought talking about Bluebeard's Bride for Valentine's Day would be funny. So, let's get to business, as they say. Let's see, is there anything else that I need to talk about? Did anybody ping me? Is anybody here to talk? No. Perfect. That's what I like to hear. I liked it when nobody wants to do anything. Alright. Now, generally speaking, I did do some things. Most accurately, I did about 6 pages worth of things. This is the Adventuring in Aether Space and True World section. This was mostly kind of a need to talk about, like, what are you actually testing? Well, you know, creating challenges. How do you actually plan on doing this? And how does this actually work? I do like a few examples. I do a couple ideas here. One of the big notes I have is the idea of defining a myth. Like, if the GM is ever not quite sure how they want to handle something, you give them a primary attribute, and then you pretty much throw it in the player's court. How do you want to do this? Hey, my example I give here is, hey, you want to make sure that see if this man is lying. Like, would this be a mind plus conviction? Try to assess the man. Is this a soul plus will as they try to suss out a lie? The DM can say, hey, this is a mind challenge. You're trying to outwit this guy, outthink him. But the hero says they'll use a body-mind check, and they explain they're looking him up and down, try to effectively intimidate the guy. This is pretty good. This is, this is fine. And this also kind of leads into the idea of you can double up. That's perfectly fine. I need to put an image here. I don't really know what to put here. That's kind of one of the issues. I did add in the concept of stunts. I think stunts are going to be the best idea going forward for this game, generally speaking. The idea behind the stunts are, if you do something cool, you get to add another die from your either another attribute die, or the GM's going to give you a die from one of your attributes. That's pretty much the idea. The goal here is to let people say, hey, I want to do something cool, I want to do something interesting, and because I'm cool and interesting, I get rewarded for it. But I do say, like, don't let them be, like, verbose in every detail. It's creative solutions and quick ways of doing it should be employed to enable heroes to go above and beyond their natural abilities. Generally speaking, this is that's kind of the rule of, like, if you notice people are getting a little bit, grandiose about every single description, that happens a lot with stunts, you can shut them down just fine. It's your call that you're giving them these. The big thing is, I do make a note that heroes are the only ones able to make stunts. Supernaturals, mortals, they can't actually do it. But other heroes may find themselves being verbose in their actions, of course. So it's kind of the idea, like, if you're actually encountering others who are, in your same caliber, you're going to end up, you might fight an opponent who is also employing stunts. And of course, I do add in the idea, like, if you narrate effects following up any criticals you roll, and performing suitably dramatic tasks. This is all kind of a way for me to enable the player, and in turn the DM, to give them a little bit more authority in how things are going. Because the thing is, like, what happens with a lot of these where it's just like describing cool things happen, is the thespian takes control. The thespian is the one who dominates the game because they're allowed to do the most things. I usually don't like that, so I like to throw in that little note being like, hey, if somebody rolls a critical, someone rolls well, then they can perform a stunt. It's kind of like, here, like, you've done something cool. It's rewarding a stunt for a gameplay effect, because some people just are quiet, and some people are introverted. That's just kind of a nature of some people, and someone should not be punished for being introverted. That's not very cool. People should be punished for being, be a little bit too verbose, arguably. Not every single thing needs to be this. However, it's kind of like one of those things like, hey, if you're a quiet person, you don't need to, like, break out of your shell immediately. It's, hey, you rolled a critical on this previous roll, now you get an advantage on this next one because you're a cool dude and people like that. This does kind of lead into the idea of Wild. Wild was always kind of one of those weirder ones, and the concept behind it, this is me explaining it a little bit in more detail because I feel it's important. It's anytime you are face to face with a major god or chief god with obvious intent to challenge them. If you rock up and Ares is like, I want to fight you, you're going to get skull fucked by Ares. Ares is going to shit down your throats. However, you have the advantage of being able to roll two of your dice, being able to roll 2 hero die to kind of not necessarily balance it, but to give you at least a little bit more than a cripplingly terrible chance of survival. It's like, okay, like, I have something, and that kind of doubles for like aetheric monsters, which are going to be big, scary, spooky things that want to kill you. Then it's kind of the idea of like what a massive challenge is. Massive challenges are just situations that the heroes find themselves that are climactic or scary or bigger than them. One of those ideas being like, hey, you're early on, you're surrounded by a swarm of undead minions. You're in a desperate situation. You're in desperate straits. You need help. Triggers. Very later on, it might be that situation where you're fighting through a gigantic force, or you are trying to outrun something that will absolutely annihilate you. Your heroism and your legend grows, so does the massive challenge aspect. To give you a better idea of what Wild actually is, this is the players are fucking cool and they deserve to survive, larger than life situations. If you are ever in a set piece moment, they should be able to at least have some advantages when it comes to those set pieces. But remember, this also plays into the fact of their heroic flaw. If they are suffering from their heroic flaw in this situation, then they're going to be taking away 2d whatever their hero die is, which can be very like, oh no, I'm going to die. Like, I've rolled a 0, oh no. Aether space this is more like an explanation of like how Aether space works, some of the details there. You need to, skim across how the Aether works. You need to manipulate Aether currents. This is the role you have to make. Like how you're doing that, how you're going to survive it. Kind of more explaining like how Aether space actually looks. My idea behind Aether space is pretty simple. It's every single sphere is an idyllic place to whoever owns it. To the Greeks, to the what we would call like the Greek gods, they are pretty much this massive, awesome land of coolness with dozens of little islands in their sphere. Everyone's got an island. And there are these, very large places, it's very, almost everywhere you go, you can hit the coast, because to the Greeks, coast was very important to them. Kind of broken up by what we would consider to be like an idealized Greece. It's just the world is Greece according to them, and always has been. But if you go over to the Roman side, the Romans view Rome as the primarily one. Like, it's a massive fucking super city with a bunch of things outside of it. It's like everything feeds the main city. There aren't other cities. It's just Mega Rome. That's to them anyway. That's how they view it. That's how they think it. And every place else is also kind of like that, except recently it's, hey, you know, the modern world, our world, the true world has been bleeding into this Aether space for a while at this point, leading to things such as, yes, Greek hoplites being armed with sword, shield, and a service revolver. Because the idea of is, hey, turns out we have an advantage. It turns out, everybody, that if we just use Greek hoplites forever, we don't have that good of an advantage. However, if I use this gun, I have a slight advantage in the fight. Which is kind of the unfortunate thing, is it's like, yeah, you have some real world issues bleeding into this, you know, more fantastical space. True World is kind of outright. It's me explaining, like, there is the idea that it will correct itself. Things do go wrong. They kind of want to beat you out. This is like half lore section, half like some mechanics. They're kind of like, hey, understand, you know, if you are in Aether space, this is what you're doing. But if you're in the true world, this is what you're doing. The main goal we have today is doing conflicts, you know, which is going to be a mixture of a few different ideas. Hey. And those few different ideas are going to be more, how do I want to word this? It's going to be combat, but it's also going to be other things. What new deities smite you today with ideas and new play? Have no fear. I have been thinking about this. I wrote a lot the other day. I need to quite literally just do combat today. That is the plan for, that's the plan for today. I have no idea how long this is going to be. And because I have no idea how long this is going to be, don't really plan on anything too extreme. True World is more of a backdrop where one can explore it. If you want to make your campaign based on the true world, you have the complete authority to do such. That's my belief. It's kind of like, if you're doing stuff in the true world, it's, you can just fuck around the modern day, except you're demigods doing super cool stuff, and the world corrects it for you. Little bit more of Scion 1E than 2E, but it's like, you can do that, because that was like a main goal of this game, is, can you play Scion? And the answer is, yeah, you could. The True World's entire bit here is so you can play Scion. If you do not want to deal with the True World at all, you don't have to. It's kind of also a justification for, hey, I don't understand the setting at all. That makes no sense. I was born here. Also, only True World and Aether World. No other worlds to explore. No lands. No land of demons, Maras, bad spirits. Kind of the idea is, like, True World is our world, effectively. It's 20XX. Aether space, though, is kind of an amalgamation of different areas, different worlds as we would call them. You can set if you want to set your entire campaign in Mega Rome, you totally can just set it in Mega Rome. It's very ill-defined for that reason. If you want to be a bunch of Greek gods fucking around in, you know, Japan, the crazy ass, mythological super Japan, go for it. Go. Yeah, I can't stop you. I'm not going to stop you. You want to do that. If you want to do globe trotting in Aether space, you can. If you're fighting things that are like clearly inhuman and unright, you're going to do Aether space. You're going to do some more Aether space stuff. Because the places between these worlds is full of nasty shit that wants you dead. It's full of the no-nos. It's full of no-no juice. That's the best way of kind of thinking about it. And if you want to have like a campaign more focused on the idea of, hey, there are monsters appearing from Aether space and we need to do this. Any of that no-no juice appears in the true world. Not really, but again, it's one of those things like, if you want to have it happen, nothing is stopping you. Because that's kind of how, that's how it works, is, hey, how do you get from point A to point B? How do you get from the true world to Aether space? You have to go through a place of power, and a deity or an individual pretty much rips through. You rip through, and then you go to pretty much to whatever that god's place is. Usually it's your patron or something like that. Yeah, so if you want to do the idea of like, hey, we've got to go, we've popped out, we're a bunch of demigods from this other space, trying to like, hey, this entire like spooky area or whatever, this scary area is being filled with no juice that wants to kill us all. We can solve that. That's kind of like, I deliberately kind of made this an open setting for a variety of different campaigns, simply because I don't quite know what this guy is looking for. So if you want to do more Aether Space stuff, you totally can do Aether Space stuff. If you'd want to do more True World stuff, ignore all the Aether Space shit. Don't need it. If you want to do a bunch of different things, or you kind of can. Nice for a campaign of a bunch of fix-it groups making weird stuff go back to their parts of reality. Did you ask him if you wanted something more specific? Not really. It's the way that he was making it sound like, oh, I want Smite and Percy Jackson, but then he originally wanted something more like urban fantasy Scion. So I'm like, okay, let's kind of throw everything at the wall here a little bit. The plan is I'm going to write combat today. I'm going to then write domains tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow is going to be a Notepad Must Die, in which we do all the domains. Just write every single one of them. Which is then going to follow up by me sending him the document. Not as a complete document, but more along the idea of like, here is the entire game. I'm going to write a GM section about like monsters and things like that. This is how you're going to be, like, this is how it works. Give me 1 second. Idea with the minor domains. I have the idea that kind of the minor powers I was talking about earlier, last week actually, is they're going to be called manifestations. Those manifestations are going to allow you to do things. It's, hey, I want to have a power, since I am the god of, my dad is a solar god. Naturally, I can produce light from my hands. I can control this bright luminescent light from my hands. That is a manifestation of your power. That is your manifestation. That is something that you've been able to manifest as your power. It has no like strict mechanical effects, but hey, like I have this advantage. On the other hand, you can use your manifestations for other things, using that kind of idea of minor domains. If you want to say, hey, I have a manifestation of being the minor domain of rivers or something, if you're primal rivers, you might be, it's like, yeah, I have this very minor domain of rivers. What does a river do? What can I do with rivers? Kind of like that. A little bit of noblesse. Ironically enough, I'm going to be probably putting a little bit of noblesse in there. More than I think I would rather appreciate. With a lot of semantics. That's kind of the idea, being like, you are the, you have the manifestation of having rivers. What does that mean? You control rivers. Rivers listen to you. And that could be very interesting. That could be a very big fucking problem as well. But that's kind of the issue. You're not going to have many manifestations, and it's going to slowly build up over time of the number that you're going to get. But I don't want to give you them right away. That's the idea. I don't want to give you all these powers right away. It's more going to be the, hey, you have the option of saying, I want my first manifestation to be light hand. That's just something you have to write in, and that's your manifestation now. I can make light appear from my hands, and it's now like a fucking flashbang in my hand. Cool. Give us a hint of the jam, Nody. You guys have, it's really funny. It's been really funny of you guys talking about the game jam. Because it's both incredibly, like, how do I want to word? You have been so horrifically wrong. It's actually very amusing. Because I've talked about this before. I've talked about doing this before. But you didn't believe me. I've legitimately talked about it. I even confirmed it with Ethical. That's the best part. I have confirmed it with Ethical. You said, yeah, I understand. We are, as they say in the hood, gaming. Oh boy, I honestly can't wait. It's... Ethical didn't tell me. Yeah, I swore Ethical to secrecy once he figured it out. Once I legitimately had to fucking tell him. And he was like, holy shit, it's that. I'm like, yeah. You fool, you baboon. Because he was guessing everything. He was so close a few times. And I even gave him a secret. I even gave him the ultimate secret. And he was like, I don't get it. I'm like, you fool, you baboon. You were the one who did this. You gave me this power. Beautiful sounds, I know. But yeah, it's I will say this. I'll give you 2 hints. Okay, everybody? You're gonna get 2 hints on the jam, all 4 of you. Are you ready? It's not Morkborg. 1. Numero uno. It is not Morkborg. Rest assured. It is not the Morky Sporky. I don't know. I have no idea where that came up. Like, everybody was like, it's Morkborg, everybody. It's gonna be a Morkborg game jam. I'm like, no. That was entirely you guys, too. That was the best part. Was like, that wasn't even me. Like, that was you. It's powered by the board. And that leads me to my second one is, it was originally... Here's the thing, it was originally going to be a Fate game. I'll leave it at that. That's my big hint. It was originally going to be a Fate game. The case isn't going to be a, not the case. The jam isn't going to be a Fate game, but the game we're going to be talking about was going to be a Fate game. Know that. And not Fate as in Fate Stay Night. I mean Fate as in Fate the game system, by the way. Remember that. Very important note, everybody. But yeah. That's those are your 2 hints. Harry might know. Here's the thing, Harry might know it. Harry Hobbit Toes. He might know. Am I like 100% sure that he will? Probably not. It's a long shot, but he might know. See, if I were to do like a full-on like Gamaroo Jamaroo about like Morkborg, the entire idea is that everything would have to be AI generated. All the artwork would have to be AI generated and would just be about wrangling an AI generator. That's all it would be. I got caught buffering. What did you say? If we ever do a Morkborg jam, it is legitimately just going to be how do you justify doing legitimately just artwork. Just AI artwork. And that would be, if I wanted to be really fucking cruel, if I wanted to be absolutely nightmarishly cruel, I would say you would have to have absolutely no words. You have to portray every single action, every single rule, every single idea purely through imagery. If I wanted to be absolutely nightmarishly evil. I have seen it done once, and that was for the, God, what was it, like 300 word jam? Long time ago. That was like Game Chef era. Somebody abused the rules effectively and said like you could only use 300 words. And some people were like, here's like a little one page game, here's this. I remember, I think I did like a 2-page game, but it was like 20 point fucking font. It was terrible. One of the ideas though that was interesting was somebody made this really long ass game, and everyone was like, how did he make like a 10-page game? But then everyone realized that he used no words. He used exclusively pictures, and it was really interesting. If we ever do again a Morkborg jam, it would quite literally be you have to just use images. That would be the one requirement. Though I should say, here's what I'll give you all one last thing about that. One last thing before we begin in honest. There is going to be a reward for this jam. Very specific reward. Whose ever game that I enjoy the most. Mind you, this will run for one month. And we're going to do 2 things, actually. One, I'm going to hand out, whoever wins, whichever game I like the most, you're going to choose the first case in April. The first actual case of games that I will be going over, I'll give you the list. You're the one who gets to choose what it is. No voting, no democracy. You have won, therefore you have gained it whatever you want. I'll probably host like a people on the server, like everyone will vote on like who do you like the most, and they'll choose the second. If it's the same person twice, that means somebody gets to choose both cases. If somebody doesn't, Originally, I was going to hand out a coupon of five votes. That's all it was going to be, 5 votes. And it was going to be 0 context of what those votes were going to be used for. And it's like, hey, you want to use these votes for a game? You can use them. You want to use these votes for a case? You can use them. There would be no restrictions. You just have it just be 5 votes. I chose to be like, you're just going to choose the case because I think the case is a little bit more amusing, a little bit more funny. And hopefully, it will enable some games that maybe get a little bit shed on a little bit. Child Safety Cap has consistently done well. Here's the cursed thing. The Child Safety Cap has consistently done well in the polls. It is just always number 3. It is never number 1. It's never number 2. It's always number 3. So I'm like, okay, let's bring that up. Maybe somebody will, maybe this can kind of determine what we're looking at a little bit more. Yeah, it got 14 and it was down by 2 votes from number 2. 2 votes. It was doing pretty well. I thought it actually was number 2, and then I saw the 19 fucking notepads collection. Yeah, like, it's like, here it is, you get to choose. And I think it's maybe not the best reward. But I think it is the funniest reward. So, hopefully everyone enjoys that. I'm going to say this right now. Again, remember, the theme is already chosen. There are actually requirements for it. There are some mechanics requirements. So, get ready, get your thinking caps on with those. So, I think it'll be entertaining. Is there 100% likelihood that it will be like a Morkborg or something like that? No, it's not going to be that. You're going to have to try something a little bit different, a little bit weird, possibly. That's why we do these jams. We do it because I hate you. I feel nothing but malice towards you. I wish for you to suffer. And it makes for good content. Remember, everyone, that's the real reason I send you out here, because it's good content. But yes, let's get down to business to defeat Ehans. So, you up. This is so combat today, yes. Conflict is the How do we want to do this? How do we want to word this? I always hate like starting any of these sections because it's always awkward. Actually, no. Stories and myths are defined by their conflict, the struggle of souls as they fight for supremacy against one another. Often these conflicts can change the fates of all those involved, or heighten the destiny, or heighten the lengths, or heighten empower the destinies of those who emerge victorious. I won't give in, I am victorious. I just check in on my server for half a second and just see anarchy as usual. You know what? Let's power on. So, fates of all those involved, or empower the destinies of those who emerge victorious. Conflicts in THEOMACHY fall into three primary groups. Conflicts in THEOMACHY are defined by two major aspects. Time. God, how do I? It's effectively like you have time. Effectively, that's kind of the entire idea. Like you are in rounds. Actually, cycles and victors. The idea. Cycles and victor. Cycles. The cycle. A conflict will follow. We'll see. The conflict will follow the cycle. A period. God, how do I want to fucking word this? It's pretty much this is the round. It's a little bit amorphous because I want the idea that anything can be a conflict. All that a conflict is that there's individuals and thing, and there's a victor at the end of it. If you complete the objective, you win. You can't have multiple winners, nor can you have, things that are like a little bit amorphous. It's you are victorious, you are not victorious, you are in direct conflict with one another. We need to keep track, we need to keep time. Actually, conflict will follow the cycle. Broken up into turns and the round. A round. Actually, fuck. Yeah, no. A round indicates the full number of turns. While a turn is the action of a single individual. While a turn is the action of a single individual in a moment. The cycle has each. Cycle is the cycle follows a basic structure. Of characters acting, reacting, and using their ability, and using characters acting, reacting, and continuing the cycle. these cycles, actually a individual cycle can. Oh Jesus, hello phone, how are you? What's up, phone? Again, being like, every now and again my fucking phone goes off, and I always know it's my phone because it makes a horrible noise. Hello, Mr. Phone, what's that? Roses are red, violets are nice, I'll get them tomorrow when they're half price. Exactly. Haha. Reply with the funny haha noise. Thank you very much, mama. We're gonna post. It's also tiresome just to make sure that people understand. So, what do we want? An individual cycle can be any number. Of rounds or turns, or for more formal, or for more loose understanding. An individual cycle can be any number of rounds or turns. Any rounds of turns or length of time. And conflicts can be any number of situations. Generally impress your ability to multitask between typing combat rules and posting reaction pics to genital piercings. Hey, it's called being talented and ethical. Conflict can be any number of situations between different parties. Conflict can be any number of situations between different parties, but the rounds and turn structure keeps the flow in place. The victor. To the victor, the spoils. Conflicts are often quite binary. They a victor will emerge. Eventually. As conflicts can be relatively simplistic or dangerous when a conflict erupts. It must be defined as having a victory condition. Not necessarily a failure condition. Not necessarily a failure condition either. Just a clear indication is necessary for a individual, for a group to be victorious. So it's kind of like the idea. My idea of what I want to kind of get across here is that conflicts can be a lot of different things. If you want to be in a debate, that is a conflict. I am debating you. You are debating me. If I can say, okay, we're in a conflict now. There are rounds and turns. The full round is every turn, but it's going to be like, hey, you, what's your argument? Well, I'm going to say this, and this, and I'm going to make this rule. I've done well. Okay, what is his argument now? This. We've made our goal. The victory condition is, do you convince them to do the thing? The victory condition is, I have made my point. I've won the case. I have, made everybody learn that, exposed your lies. It's kind of one of those things. That's the idea of a conflict. There is a victor. There is a clear goal in mind. But it could be something a little bit more dramatic at the same time. The idea of, hey, we are racing to an end goal. We are racing. It's my turn. I get to see how far I get to run. It's your turn. You get to see how far you run. End of the round. I go, you go, I go, you go, I go, you go. There's a victor. Only one of us can win the race. But the idea behind, like, there's not necessarily a failure condition. There can be failure conditions. It's the idea that there always must be something to say you have won rather than you have failed. So if there's an idea of, say, hey, here's someone is trying to run away. He wants to get away. You want to catch him. All right, easy enough to understand. It's back and forth. He's trying to escape. I'm trying to catch him. Success condition is simple. I catch up to him. His success condition is he gets away from me. He breaks the line. He breaks the distance too far away from me. I lose. That's my failure condition. However, things can get a little bit more tricky. It's not necessarily like, I don't know, you yourself shouldn't be able to like have a failure condition in a situation. It's not like, oh, you did a thing, therefore you lose. You've just clearly not won. That's kind of the idea there. Somebody else will win. Someone will come out on top. But there can be Pyrrhic victories. This is a group to be a clear indication that is necessary for a group victoriously. Excellent. However, not every victory will be, well, not every victory will be overwhelming. Often there are compromises, or at worst, a simple Pyrrhic victory. The simple Pyrrhic victory, there may be compromises or a Pyrrhic victory. Pyrrhic victory where the condition is satisfied, but more has been lost than gained. So it's kind of like one of those things, like the most obvious, like I kind of want to get across the idea of being like, if there is a conflict, and you should encourage conflicts because, that's what makes stories, but basic idea. There's going to be a cycle to things. One character is going to go, I'm going to go, and there has to be a victory condition. Easy enough to understand. That's all you need. However, using the idea of like, I'm chasing you, you're chasing me. If I'm like burning a shit ton of resources, if I use like half my fucking drive to get up to you, and you burned a lot of your, and you haven't done anything. Yeah, I catch you, but I'm like way far down. I've spent a lot more to do this, and now you have possibly an advantage over me. Or, hey, we both keep fucking up, and I just barely succeed, and you barely succeed, and it takes for fucking ever. We might have been in the same, we might have caught up to one another, but now I'm in a bad situation, you're not. Or it's like, oh, hey, you critically fuck up and I critically succeed, and now suddenly I have a major advantage and you don't. It's like, oh no, like, that's kind of the idea. It's like a little bit more loosey-goosey, but I think that would be a better option for... Oh, jeez. Why are you bullying fucking... Why are you doing nipple piercings now? Why are there piercings at all in my general chat? Why? Why are you all the way you are? Stop it. Stop it, please. What have I done? What have I done? Seems like a good time to come back. What have you done? There we go. Oh my Jesus. Oh gee. Oh Lord Almighty. So we're gonna do this, and we're going to do simple conflicts. Simple conflict. Not every conflict is going to be life or death. Oftentimes they are simply opposed role. So oftentimes they demand the cycle structure. cycle structure to have two parties compete against one another for supremacy. For example, Bronislaw, and let's do a random name generator. Behind the fucking name, let's just generate names. That's a terrible fucking name. God, I fucking hate Norwegians. Let's do this. We like Reedsy blog. Dun 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 dun. Let's do a Spanish name. Let's do a feminine Spanish name. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Isabel Tavera. There we go. Isabel Tavera. And Isabel have let's see, Bronislaw and Isabel have agreed to let's see, Bronislaw and Isabel have agreed to a race to try and impress their trying to impress the satyr. Satyr, what's a good Greek random Greek name, fantasy name generator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mihail. Thanos. No, Manos. There we go. We'll use Manos. So let's say, press the Satyr race to try to impress the Satyr Manos to let them cross. Bronislaw and Isabel are in a conflict. Bronislaw and Isabel are in a conflict, both needing are in a conflict. But this is a simple one with Isabel going first, as her prowess is D10, and Bronislaw's is, let me see if what fucking, remember he had a really stupidly small one because he was a little goblin man. Actually no, prowess is D12 and Bronislaw's is D10. There we go. Isabel rolls her body plus prowess plus hero die first, while setting off with a hefty lead, letting Bronislaw roll the same as he lags behind immediately. These two would go back and forth until one emerged as the victor. Oftentimes though, these conflicts aren't necessarily friendly, and may require the heroes to think about who's going first in their group as a speaker or champion for their needs. Pretty much the idea behind a simple conflict is quite literally just roll a bait. It's pretty much just opposed checks. That's all it really boils down to, with the idea being like, hey, somebody has an advantage, they're going to be going first, so whoever crosses the the finish line first wins. Easy enough to understand. Fix the economy, fix the economy. Redeem manly co-host, everybody. We have a manly co-host. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me bring up my my favorite. Oh, that's the wrong thing. We want to do that. It's a yes, congratulations. Let's see. I was looking at the fucking Black Flag playtest. I read through it. I was immediately not too I wasn't too impressed. Let's just say that. What's your opinion on it, Archer? I'm actually genuinely curious because I read it, I was looking at it, and I was like, oh my fucking god. Fucking Kobold Press made Pathfinder 2e Dragon Ball Z D&D 5th edition. I'm like, oh fuck. No. Yeah, apparently the 17th is when we're getting classes, and I am making a wild guesstimation. Mind you, is that we're gonna get a shit ton of talents. It should have been posted in the servers. If anything, I can bring it. I can link it later. But it's gonna be a lot of talents. I have a strange feeling of that. It's gonna be class talents too. I have class talents. Hey, Notepad is now more expensive. Yeah, a little bit. I just bumped the price up a little bit. That's all. The economy is in shambles, Draco. You don't understand. It is in shambles. The product seems met people. Oh yeah, damn straight. Now we can call the cost. Yeah, it has actively made it harder to pay him. Yes. I pay triple of that to invoke Manly. Because everybody loves Manly. Everybody loves Manly. He's our favorite Tiger Ball. Where is Scribble in a Jar? Honestly, there we go. That'll be the final fucking Twitch chat tier. 5k a pop to get more people in the jar. Scribble co-host for 5k. See, what I should do is just have like a random more co-hosts. Just start stacking them on top of one another. Just have half the screen full of co-hosts being like, I'm sorry guys, we can't read. I mean, maybe it's a skill issue. Let's see. Yeah. Actually, side note. In words of one, so it is a basic opposed challenge, but there is a quote turn order. In sim. No. There we go. This is legitimately all it is. It's just like it's just an opposed challenge, but there is a turn order. That's all simple conflicts really are. And you're like, why does this need a section? It's to kind of have that turn structure. That's the important part. I'll probably slap an image right there. What we will do now is Uh, not every conflict is simple. Not every conflict is simple. Some demand blood. Some demand blood to be spilled, and swords to be actually some demand swords to be drawn, and others bloodied to make a point. Combat is a special kind. Let's see. Combat is a special kind of conflict, which has the heroes pitted against an enemy, that wishes to do them immediate harm. While they may encounter a host of problems and a host of fiends and foes. Combat is while they may encounter a host of fiend and foes. Combat will play out similarly. And we're going to do initiative. Ah, god damn it, sticky keys. Nobody ever wants sticky keys. Seizing the initiative. Kind of like, yeah, combat is kind of its own thing, but it's still a conflict. That's why I want to be like, there is a turn order. I don't need to explain turn order now. Who's pinging me? Why are you pinging me? Gangs. The gang's all here, everybody. Have no fear. Oh, gee. Yeah. In the end, you can say everyone is here. God, that'd be a perfect April Fool's stream. Let's see, when is April Fool's? Let's actually check. April Fool's is a fucking Saturday, by the way. It's Saturday, boys. That'll be just a complete shitpost stream. I hope everybody is ready for April 1st. It will be a shitpost stream. Happy Valentine's Day to you, Archer. Happy Valentine's Day to all you lonely fuckers. You poor, sad, miserable fuckers. Like, Jesus, why are we here? Just to suffer? I think we're here just to suffer. Because unfortunately, people have actually been talking to me about things. About those white whale projects I keep talking about. 11 years ago, I had a heart infection. 14th of February was the day I got out of intensive care. Jesus. See, people have been talking about like white whale projects, and you know, they like, this is your white whale. What is it? What is it? I will always say there are 3 projects that I would always love to undertake, and I have no idea how to do it though. This has always been the issue. Wakfu. Fucking Wakfu. Do you realize how, like, big that would be? I love Wakfu. Like, why are you that? You shouldn't be that way. Be big shouldered. Like, to give you an idea, this is Wakfu in case you don't know what the fuck it is, because I really like Wakfu and I want everybody else to know that I like Wakfu. Because it's cool. Very French though. Hellishly French. For all the wrong and terrible reasons. The fuck are you? Oh god. Yeah, Wakfu's been one of those, like, settings that people have tried time and time again to make a game for. Like, time and fucking time again, they have attempted to make games for, and it keeps failing every fucking time. And people just can't get it. I think, like, the thing is, so you make a good point. This is the biggest issue. The absolute major issue when it comes to that entire world is very simple. Because you have the option of I would say two very important things. You can either make Wakfu, or you can make Wakfu. What does this mean? You can make Wakfu the game, or you can make Wakfu the series. You cannot make both. That's the problem. Yo, you need to make both. You need to make You can't really make both because both make very different assumptions about the world. Like, that's like a major issue. And there are people who will fight you on the fact that you have to make it the game version. You have to make it the series version. And I have struggled, and I've heard strong fucking arguments on both sides. And that's kind of like one of the issues is like I've heard like very strong arguments on both sides, because the idea is that the game treats the actual characters as classes. Your race is your class. If you are playing a Sedita, you are playing a Sedita. That's your class, that's your ability, that's your everything. That's who defines you. The show, on the other hand, says that's not really true. You can be a Sedita and do something else. You can be a Sedita and be a fighter. You can be a Sedita and be an archer. In the game, that's not a thing. You can't do that. That's not how the game works. And that is like a very... The game changed it finally? That might be a good call. Sorta. There's the sorta. It's one of those things, and like, do you add in like the grid combat? Because people, like, that was like one big thing. I remember talking about this a long time ago, and that was like a big thing. Who was like, you legitimately have to put in the grid combat. You can make your race the color palette of any other race. See, that doesn't really... It doesn't really fix the major issue with it, which is just the idea being like, it is a class. That's kind of the idea. The grid combat's kind of weird. Like, it's... What I mean by the grid combat, it's weird. It's how, like, the elemental effects kind of interact with things. Oh, I don't like where this is going, Scribble. I don't like where this is going at all. Here's the skinny. Like, is it just like a color palette? All the classes all come from the following. I don't like where this is going. Oh god, it's French. French! Is that you're devoted to that god? Yeah, that's one of those weird things that's hard to get, like, how do I want to word it? It's hard to get around, because, like, that is actually how, like, the races work. Being a Sedita means you are legitimately sworn to the god Sedita. That is like the thing. Everybody in Wakfu is human. Remember that. Everybody is human. Every single one of them, technically. And they show legitimate, just human humans. Sort of. They kind of work that way. Shut up, Scribble. I watched the fucking show. That's how they explained it. Shut the fuck up. We're not talking about the stupid dogs. Nobody liked the fucking dogs. Nobody liked stupid fucking whatever the fuck. Nobody liked the Eliotropes. Nobody. They were a dumb addition to the game. You know it. I know it. We all fucking know it. And even they're human. Even they're fucking human. Because the fucking Eliotropes, normally, like, God, fuck you, Scribble. No, they are not. They are human. They worship the fucking kid. That's how they're doing it. Because he's an alien. This is the shit with, like... This is the shit that gets fucky with Wakfu. Now you're understanding why it could never be made. It's one of those fucking projects that it's the second you start on something, it's like something's not going to be right. And you're going to have to double check it. And it's going to be constantly like, well, that's not how the ops work. That's not how yops work. I'm like, I fucking pain. Let's. Oh, another thing to bring up. I don't like where this is going, Scribble. Scribble, don't do this to me. I'm a good boy. I've done nothing wrong. The difference in power scales. Yeah, the power scales. Like that's a not even like a. That's like a factor that I physically like. That's already fucked. What was it? I've made a box that turned back time 30 seconds. Something like that. Yeah, it's... Mind you, just the inclusion of Nox. Like, just the inclusion of them already make things a little bit confusing. Time magic in any game makes things confusing. Did you see his OVA? Yeah, I did watch his OVA, and I was a bitch because I was sad. Like, holy shit. Oh god, my soul, my body, my agony. Yeah, no, Wakfu, and in turn kind of like Dofus, is such a bizarre thing that even like approaching it is hard to do. That's kind of the issue with Wakfu. The other major white whale project has always been Exalted. I explained this to people before. Exalted is like hard for one reason, and one reason alone. Oh, our Dokfu, are Dofus and Wakfu related setting-wise, Laura? Yes, Dofus takes place before Wakfu, right? Right? I think Dofus, if I remember correctly, Dofus takes place before Wakfu, before one of the creatures in Wakfu. Yeah, Wakfu's a sequel. It's pretty much the world gets fucking destroyed in Dofus, which leads to Wakfu, which is why like half the world is technically underwater in Wakfu. That's a plot point, by the way, which you should totally watch the OVA detailing how that works. Holy shit, my feelings. God, Wakfu was fucking good. Yeah, this isn't even, yeah. It's a mess. It's a fucking mess. Yeah, no, the other problem, I think Onkama is a money laundering front. No, I think Onkama makes a shit ton of money. Because you gotta remember this too, Scribble. This is a big thing, Scribble. Onkama also pretty much, not translate, but they localize a shit ton of things media-wise. They have a lot of connections. They have a lot, like, we think, normally when people think, oh, Onkama, it's just like Wakfu or something. They're like, I've heard it described that I've heard it described that they're kind of like Kotodama, almost. Not Kotodama Heavy Industries, Kodama. The Japanese one. Like, they have their hands in a lot of different departments. They translate stuff. Katakawa, that's it. They translate stuff. They release things. They're a big media company in general. Just media company. They put out a lot of books. They put out a lot of series. They put out a lot of things. Like, a lot of cartoon series in France go through them. It's a lot of series that get translated into French. Go through them. They're the ones who kind of put everything out. You Crossmaster, fucking, that's a board game. I don't go over board games. But yeah, no, my other fucking nightmare, project would be Exalted. Exalted is such a godforsaken, horrifying nightmare prospect to even try to fix for a variety of reasons. I kind of covered it when Lucas started posting stuff from 2nd edition of all things. Not 3rd edition, 2nd edition. Exalted is a fucking mess. I don't think anybody quite understands how much of a fucking disaster area Exalted is. One with 250 pages of skills. No. Exalted has very few skills, relatively speaking. They got 250 pages of fucking charms, though. Fucking charms. There's two things, there's two issues with Exalted. I'd say there's two major issues. Because Exalted is... charms. Because the thing is, Exalted is a few different things. Because Exalted is an anime TRPG. Early 2000s anime TRPG. Alright, easy enough to understand. It is also a sword and sandal RPG. And you may be wondering, what the fuck do you mean by sword and sandal TRPG, Nopan? And the answer is, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's also a wuxia. It's also a wuxia TRPG. It's also a Zhanjia TRPG. It's also a storyteller TRPG. Exalted is like Dragon Ball if Goku was in the Trojan War. Yes, that is a very good explanation for it. Now, the issue is, depending on the edition... Oh yeah, it's also post-apocalyptic. Yeah, also it's Magitech. Because, like, here's the thing. Depending on which version of Exalted you're talking about, all of these take different priorities. Exalted 1E. There's a shit... If you've ever heard Quick Exalted before, they're talking about Exalted 1E. Specifically. Now, if you want to hear the fucked up thing, it's not Exalted. Mind you, it's not Exalted 1E. No. Quick Exalted is the Exalted 1st Edition Quick Start. Because people liked it so fucking much, and they will say, there are people who will fight you and say, the quick start for Exalted 1st Edition is the best way to play it. Not the actual 1st Edition book, the quick start for the book. The free version, the free quick start is the best way to play it. It's insane, I love it. But this first one is effectively a wuxia sword and sandal, a little bit of anime in there, like enough to be like it's clearly influenced. Early 2000s made a lot of sense. Exalted 2E is like pure like insanity. That's when you start getting like the Magitech. That's where you get a lot of the post-apocalyptic stuff. That's where you got a lot of the first age things going on. A lot of the first age stuff, which a lot of people will, you will get a lot of people say that is where things started getting stupid because it explained way too much. Exalted 3rd Edition, on the other hand, is all the way back to that sword and sandal route, but also a little bit wuxia, but also clearly Zhanjia. It's also kind of like really high powered at the same time, but it's also very Magitech. But you also have to remember, this is the storyteller system on top of all of these fucking things. So it's like, okay, which of these versions is the right version? And the answer, there's no right version. That's the issue. There's really no good one, because if you play Solars, this is a completely different, Solars are completely different than Dragon-Blooded. You can do an entire campaign of Dragon-Blooded, never mention a Solar, and you will have a fucking ball. If you bring in a Solar, suddenly things start getting weird because they break the setting. They break the game. And we're not even going to talk about Sidereals. Fuck Sidereals. Fuck those little shits. They're stupid. So you have this initial issue of like, we don't really have like a good baseline. The other issue is charms. You want to know why charms are a bitch? You want to know why I hate charms so fucking much? Because charms are in setting. Charms aren't just a superpower. Oh, no. They are legitimate feats. What about liminals? Ugh, liminals. I don't like liminals. I don't like really any of the new Exalt types in 3rd edition. Gemini are, if I remember what Gemini are kind of cool, but like nothing else really vibed with. All the others seem like we're adding Exalt types to add Exalt types, even though it's not really great. The issue with charms is that they are built into the setting. And what do I mean by built into the setting? What I mean by that, very simply, is when you're using a solar, it's a, God, what was it? It's a solar beam saber, whatever, I can't remember what the fuck it's called. If you're using that, that's just not you using an ability to, shoot something like magic out of your hand or whatever. That is a in-lore thing. That is a in-lore taught charm that you learned because you are a solar. This gets really complicated when you start introducing sidereals. Because sidereals do not have superpowers. They learn all their charms from the Maidens of Fate. They learn all their feats from somebody else. That's the entire point. You want to know why I hate this? Because you can't take charms away. Charms are just feats. They're not anything cool. They're 3.5 feats. And what you legitimately need to do is you need to gut the entirety of the charm system to make a new exalted version. But you can't. Because the problem is, if you remove the charms, you suddenly lose exalted. That's been like one of those like constant problem. Where if you remove how the charms function, you lose the core of exalted. Which is like, pretty much solars are hyper specialized in doing one thing. And a lot of the charms are like, you've dumped all your points into sailing charms. You are not only a master fucking sailor, you are the best sailor in the world 10 times over. And it's like, oh fuck. So yeah, when it says like, oh, exalted is Dragon Ball if Goku was in the Trojan War, that is correct. If you spec Goku correctly. I'm getting a phone call. Ta-da, I'm alive. But yeah, that is my very long-winded rant on why Exalted is my white fucking whale. And I will never be able to fix Exalted because it's my nightmare. It's my perpetual nightmare that I am unable to escape from. And I do not believe that there's a good way for me to escape it, because you need to fundamentally rewrite the entirety of Exalted. And at that point, are you rewriting Exalted, or are you making something new? That's kind of the issue there. I'd say my third White Whale project will always be Rifts. I know how to fix it, it's just a bitch to do if I want to do it. You can rewrite charms as traits. No, you can't. That's the problem, because then you have to rewrite how essence works. That's the funny part. You have to rewrite how essence works. Because essence is quite literally in setting a resource that the Exalts can use. That's how they power their charms. It is a literal inbuilt mana system. That's how it works. So it's like, okay, we'll just remove how that works. Because then you start getting rid of other things like fucking like resonant essence, I believe it's called. You get like, oh, what's your moat pool? What's this looking to? It's this cascading effect of changing one aspect of the game. And it's a cascading nightmare. This isn't even dealing with shit like lunars. And the fact that you can't remove the lunar bond, which is legitimately, if you are playing lunars, you just don't get to have fun sometimes. There's a literal, like, you don't have fun button. It is infuriating. And if the GM's a dick, he can pull it on you. very easily, and it's completely canon and completely in setting and encouraged. It is horrifically weird, and I've been debating on how to fix Exalted for years. I still am trying to figure out that ideal way of doing it, and there really isn't a right way, because every single way that is there changes something at a fundamental level. Something changes, something breaks, something is wrong. That's the best way to kind of word it. Something is wrong. And I have debated on it. I have looked at things. I have read other people's attempted fixes, and it's pain. Life is pain. We don't get to have fun. I know Wuso proposed, like, legitimately just writing Dissidia, the tabletop game, but I don't believe that's quite the right option either, because Dissidia is a fighting game, and Exalted isn't always about fighting. So, seizing the initiative... When combat erupts, the cycle begins anew. However, instead of there being clear beginners and instead of there being clear turn orders, the heroes and their enemies will determine their initiative value. This initiative is the turn order of the combat. Each of the hero. Actually, do we want? I'm thinking about it. Do we want a standard initiative system of just like you have 13 initiative, you go on 13, or do we want to keep it like? You know what? No. We're gonna keep things lighter. Let's see. The heroes. Let's see. Begin. Instead of there being clear turn orders, the hero being a clear turn order, I should say, a turn order. The heroes will need to contest their enemies in a contest their enemies to seize the initiative. Seize the initiative. Each of the heroes will roll a prowess. A prowess plus conviction would be a good version of this. Prowess is correct because that's like kind of like snapping into action kind of thing. Like I'm snapping in there. Like, okay, let's do this. I guess we can use conviction. So it's kind of along the idea of being like, hey, you're not gonna flinch kind of thing. You know, your conviction is your ability to like say, no, I'm not gonna flinch from this effectively. Each of the heroes will roll a prowess plus conviction. Will roll a prowess plus conviction challenge against the enemies, against the opponent's initiative score. If they are successful, they will act before their enemies. If they are not successful, they will act after. They will act after. Is that right? No, that's not right. How do I want to do this? Is this the right way of doing things? Because I pretty much want to get the idea that it's like, okay, you're snapping into action, you're ready to go. You're trying to kind of figure out, like, okay, where am I? How am I doing this? What's the game plan here? And you're like, all right, maybe this is not the right way of looking at things. Maybe I should, like, oh, I'm going first or I'm going last. Actually, no. I think if we stick with this method, characters are gonna act. Character acts first. Anyone, it's just kind of like you choose who goes, and then the enemies are gonna make their actions, and then you're gonna make your action, and the other people are not. So okay, that should be fun. If they are not successful, they will act after. They will act after them. There is no order. There's no order in operations. There's no order to when the heroes act during their phase of the cycle. There's no order to when the heroes act during their phase of the cycle. But if there is a need, it is tied to the highest prowess. The highest prowess will act first with body, then conviction, then will, body, then conviction, then will, breaking ties. Pretty simple there with body, then conviction, then will, breaking ties. So it's like, hey, you have the highest prowess, you're gonna act first. You have D12. If there is a time where it's like we both have D10 prowess, okay. We both have D10 body, okay. We both have D4 conviction, okay. But I have a D6, you have a D4 will. I'm gonna go. This shouldn't really, there's no order to an act during the phase and cycle. Attack heroes who are caught flat-footed. Seize the initiative. So if we use this method, this is the thing. If we use this method, we need to make a check. So it's effectively you can burn drive to effectively try to go first. It's like I need to beat the enemy, so I'm going to try to burn drive. Or do we make it set value going down constantly? If we make it set value, we make it set value. Actually, here let's ask a different question. Do I want the heroes to re-roll their initiative every round? That's another question. If I want to do it the way I'm writing it right now, I can have the heroes re-roll every round. So it kind of starts going a little bit back and forth with the idea of like, okay, I failed this round, I'm going after, but I succeeded this next round, so I'm going before, after. So it's a little bit more, you're more actively rolling to do things. On the other hand, if you say If we do it the other way, where you're set, it's a little bit more precise method of doing this. Alright, you know. Each of the heroes roll prowess plus up, conviction challenge, enemies on the other hand work freely during their phase, allowing them to attack heroes who are caught flat-footed. Yeah. At the end of the round, any effects at the end of the second hero phase, they will the round will end. All effects will process during this time. Any damage. Let's see. Any effects will process during this. Let's see. And all effects will process during this time. As well. Then the heroes will make another initiative challenge to beat their foes again, starting a new round. There we go. So if we do it this method, effectively it's, hey, be a little bit more aggressive, because it's like you are being tied to things. Okay. The idea being, you want to go before your enemies, because if you're going before your enemies, you're allowed to do more things. What I am going to do, though, should I put this? I'm going to put this in because it's a little bit weird in case people want to do this more. Side note: traditional initiative system. I usually don't do these when I'm feeling confident about my own work, but since this is a commission project, I'm going to put this in here. A traditional initiative system. If the DM wishes, the heroes are freed to. If the DM wishes, the heroes are free to choose. The heroes may just roll their prowess. Plus conviction. Prowess plus conviction to have a quote set initiative. There are no re-rolling, and each enemy will also be set at their particular initiative as well. The system is more traditional. The system is more traditional, but does lack some of the back end. It's kind of like one of those ideas, like, do you want to make this really fast and simple, or do you want to kind of like have that larger one? I know some people really like having the more set initiative. Some people do not, just kind of depending on how you write things. Act before if they are successful. Opponent's initiative score. I'm going to put a footnote right here. Facing multiple opponents with different initiative scores. Take the highest of them. We'll add something there. So stained swords and the twang of the bow. Oh. Called stained swords. Stained swords, combat action. Actually, do we put the map in first? I'm going to put the map in first. I think that's the right option. vacant fields. During a combat, the area in which it will take place is divided into smaller sections called zones. Each zone can support a number of different actors in it, or as well as determine the range of different abilities. Each zone is connected to one. Each zone is connected to one another, allowing for traversal around them. These zones traversal around them. If two actors are in the same zone, it is assumed they can attack one another in melee combat, as well as reach one another reasonably quickly. Yeah. Zone. Do. Action. Actors. Number of actors. We do this number of actors, and then we do basic. How about that? So, tight zone. We're going to have a grand total of two small hallways, tight caves. Prison cell, small zone, so we'll do 8, and then we're infinite. So it's kind of like the idea here being more like, yeah, technically anyone can fit into an open zone. Like, it's legitimately just an open scrum area. As long as there are people around, you can fight them. Small zone, bedroom. Let's see, what would be some small areas? Small house, kind of like a small house, kind of effectively, like you were in actually standard room, standard rooms, small houses. Let's see, what am I thinking of? What would be a good other room to deal with? I want to make a room. Making a room. What do I do with this? Maybe a small area. Maybe we do standard zone. So this would be like, usually the idea is like, oh, it's the size of a room, or it's like, it's the size of this. We'll do something like that. So it's like standard room, open, you know, standard rooms. Like, we'll just do like standard room size. That's standard room size. Not too big, not too small. It's not like, clearly it's not like a big area. It's not like a large area. Actually, maybe we can do, battlefields up. Battlefields can be sectioned off by one another. Can be sectioned off by one another as long as they are all connected, allowing the heroes to maneuver, navigate, and find themselves fighting against horrors abound. Larger enemies may take up multiple spaces. This can be this may be the only way to survive in some cases. Actually, I mean, if we do something like 8 and then we bump it up to 16. There we go. If we do like 4, 8, 16, like standard zones, like you can have like, you can fight like a couple big enemies clearly in here. But like this is pretty open, like an open battlefield, like this is just a field pretty much. Like anywhere you go, I don't usually do zones. That's this thing. I mean, do we have like a good zones TTRPG description? Do we have like a good description of them? No. Zones RPG Simulator Wiki? What the fuck? RPG Sim... No. What the fuck? The fuck is this? Fucking fuck. Don't want to deal with you yet. What in odds? See, I'm always worried. Anytime I look over in my server here real fast and I see Jort, I'm seeing Pistolier, Solid, and Scribble in the same chat with one another, and 2 of the new guys. Call me a little bit worried here, everybody. I am being conservative. You all worry me grandly. That seems like a chat. Anytime Solid shows up, I know it's going to be a good time for everybody involved. I damn well know. I'm no fool. I'm gonna say racial slurs. No racial slurs. I'm making a An impassioned plea. Please, no racial slurs in the chat. Battlefield 20 section off from one another as long as they're connected, allowing heroes to maneuver, navigate, and find themselves fighting against horrors about. Actually, at the end of time, heroes or enemies have filled a zone such as a large creature. This is a large creature entering all anytime the heroes or enemies fill the zone, all actors in the zone leave a fuck it, the term I use for it. Receive woe. Receive woe. Receive woe for all of their receive woe for all of their actions. So it's kind of like the idea, like, if you are like completely filled up in an area, everybody's, you know, actually receive woe for receive one woe per overage for all of their actions, except for the largest enemies. So it's kind of like one of those things. It's like, if you're fighting like a bunch of giants in a tight zone, they can fit in there. You have a disadvantage of fighting them. They don't have a disadvantage fighting you. They're going to be able to like hit you pretty solidly. Like, you need to get the fuck out of there. You need to kind of like fight them in more open areas, because bigger than you. They need to hit you once. You need to not. Actually, but large enemies would take up. But this is only ways. This might. Large enemies may take up multiple spaces. If they would trigger an overfill. Yes. So if they would overfill a zone by entering it, they overfill a zone by entering it. They will actually, if they size 5 enemy, 5 size enemy entering a tight zone. They cannot actually fit through a location. Size 5 enemy entering a tight zone. They cannot move into it. They cannot move into it. So pretty much it's like, use tight zones to kind of like maneuver around bigger enemies and things like that. That's kind of the idea. Not the best implementation, yeah. Combat is a little bit more abstracted. Like, the entire idea, what I want combat to be like is, you are constantly moving around in a zone, effectively. You're not just standing there in a zone. You're not just standing on a 5-foot square. You are kind of maneuvering around. You're kind of circling one another. You're kind of doing things to allow you to fight the enemy. And because I want to get that kind of idea across, is less like, you're not just standing around doing shit. Even, you know, characters who are like using a bow, using this, they're moving around their zone, trying to get the best shot, trying to do things, trying to like jump off shit. That's the entire idea. That's how I want things to actually kind of happen. I can either go the direction of like line combat, like strictly just fully abstracted, but I think the zones are a better option here, because it gives players a little bit more freedom to be like, oh, well, we're fighting a giant, and because it's a giant, I'm going to move through this tight zone so he can't get me. So it cannot get me, therefore I'm going to be doing. Actually, you know what I can do? when in doubt. Yeah, there we go. So we can do a little bit. So you can say like this is a really tight fucking zone. Like one person can fit through. Like nobody else. Anybody else entering it, nobody's going to be winning. Everybody will lose. So it's like, yeah, if you're kind of going through a tinier area, you might want to do that. Okay. I think kind of shifting it up a little bit can work a little bit better. So if you do standard strain swords combat action. When a hero chooses to act during their phase, they will be able to perform two actions of their two types of be able to perform two types of actually they will be able to perform one action of their choice, one main action and a utility action. They'll be able to perform one main action and a utility action. These can be performed in any order. These can be performed in any order. Just very simply, they can perform two actions. One main action and a utility action. So we want to... Hello, phone. We do column. Like... What actions are we going to be doing? What obviously we're going to be doing we're going to do a melee attack, ranged attack. Actually we'll do attack, melee, attack, range. These are going to be our main actions. Major interaction. I'm going to haul a brick. I'm going to haul something. I need to shove a boulder out of the way, something like that. It's like a major thing. It's going to take some time to do. Because if you don't do it, something bad's going to happen. Something's going to go on. Something is clearly occurring if you're doing this. I did make a call that like most actions are going to be pretty simple. Like you're not going to have that many actions to do, but that's not really the point. if we do something like this, we do something very simple, we do something pretty easy to understand. So it would be quite literally what we, if we want to be very simple, just like very, very to the time. These are our main actions. These are our main actions. These are the description. So our attack melee, attack range. Is it okay to have few actions if they do something? Pretty much. This is going to be our major challenge, which is going to be like you're making a deliberate roll. That's the idea. Then finally we have utility. So that's going to lead to so main actions, attack melee. The hero lashes out to at an enemy within the same zone as them. Actually, what we should do is armament below armament power. We do this if we do armament power. So we'll do attack melee. Unless with enemy in the same zone as them, they will roll their weapon. They'll roll their weapons to hit. They'll roll their weapons to hit, and add any modifiers. If they manage. If they strike the opponent's defense, if they strike the opponent's melee defense, yeah, we'll say if they strike the opponent's defense, and deal their weapon. Lashes out. If we do, the hero takes aim and strikes in it, and attempts to hit an enemy in a different zone than them. Different zone than them. They will roll their weapons to hit. And add any modifiers. If they strike their opponent's defense, they have successfully hit and will deal their damage. And each zone may have different adornments which may grant different bonuses or restrictions to the occupants. One of the most common variety of these cover. If a zone has cover, then the defense rating against ranged attacks is increased by a flat +3. Whether defense against ranged attack is increased by actually. The defense against ranged attack adds a wheel. However, being half submerged in water, however, being half we can add in a basic idea of like, yeah, you can add in cover to these things. Little bit of a side note, but hopefully it kind of makes sense. Like, range has its drawbacks. The most obvious idea of range being an issue is range has to deal with line of sight. Can you actually see the enemy? You also have to deal with the fact that, hey, if there is cover, they can actually get a defense against it, but only, like, they have a higher ability to dodge or do things that's a little bit harder for them to. With a range attack, you are actually kind of having to apply a little bit more a thinking power. You have to put on your thinking cap a little bit harder than you might be doing with a melee attack, but that's half the fun. Armament. Actually, there's a reason I'm doing this. The hero. The hero makes a challenge roll, which takes a significant amount of time or effort on their part, taking up valuable effort on their part. This allows them to make the call. Makes a challenge roll which takes a significant amount of time or effort on their part. This forces their attention away from the battle for a moment. Takes their attention away from the battle for a moment. Then we do the hero interacts with a feature on the field, such as moving a boulder, or hauling an ally to safety, the safety. This takes time and effort. It may require a challenge roll. Kind of the idea with like separating these out. It's a major challenge is like, it's very obvious you're just making a challenge. You're not interacting with anything. I don't want to be like, hey, here's an interaction with something. You can also make a challenge if you want. Like, this is this very specific thing. Like, I'm making a challenge to do something. I want to do something. I am choosing to do an action. I am performing a thing here. This is like, okay. I understand. I get what you're putting down. Finally, we do the hero takes a second utility action of their choice. Let's see. Hero takes a second utility action of their choice. Takes a second utility action of their choice. Yep, that's it. This is very simply like all the main actions you're going to be doing. Because that's what combat boils down to. You're going to be doing some things, and it's going to be pretty simple to understand. I don't want it to be too super complicated. That's not the point. It's never been the point. we do this for example? Why don't we do attacks? Each type of attack may be augmented by their armament. The hero will announce they are using an armament. They are using their armament. Announce they are using their armament to modify the attack in some fashion, or enable them to perform the attack. Or enable them to perform the attack. We go all the way back up. We want to check the armaments out real fast, just to double fucking check to make sure that I know what I'm doing. So, for example, a hero with the sword in their soul, chooses to use the rush down. Chooses to use the rush down action. Chooses to use rush down. They are making a melee attack, but will replace. They are making a melee attack. Some of these actions will require the expenditure of drive to perform. Some of these actions will require the expenditure of drive to perform. If the hero cannot afford it directly, they may instead reduce their ichor. Let's see. And if the hero cannot afford it directly, they may instead reduce their ichor. Pretty much, you can kill yourself to perform some of these. If you want to rush down, you can. That's your option to do that. That's completely your prerogative. Both any kinds of attack, actually any kind of attack can also be augmented by a domains. Let's see. Biodomains keywords. Even if not under the effect of an armament. For example, a hero with the domain of fire. A hero with the domain of fire chooses to use their blazing keyword. Their blazing keyword on their ranged attack. They roll to strike as normal. Normal, resolving the effects if they do strike home. Remember that an important note when using a domain on an attack, it is obvious that divine intervention, that the divine intent is being employed. If it is presented as such. So it's kind of like, if I light my sword on fire to strike you, it's like, yeah, people are going to be able to tell that you are trying to burn them alive because you are this person. That probably won't show up as like a major factor, but it might be a little bit important if you're trying to preserve your identity or something. Like, hey, wait a fucking moment. Hey, wait a moment. Wait a second. Uh-oh, sisters. What? In God's holy name? People are now sending me Ricardo Milos. I don't know why, but perhaps it is my destiny. He sent Gachi Muchi images after the work I've done. After my crimes. After my despicable crimes against humanity, perhaps this really is my true judgment. Perhaps we were all really Gachi Muchi superstars. Can we do like 5.5? 5.4, 5.3, 5.4. We do 5.4. We go here, we do 5.4. We select all of you, we do 1. 1.1. 1.2. I don't like the way this looks. I don't know about this one. I don't know about this one, boys. Something about this isn't striking me correct. We want to do utility actions. Just putting this like this, it looks a little bit weird, looks squished. So keeping it like this should be better. It's not much better, but it feels better to me, and this is obviously fucked. I will, most likely what'll happen is after I get done here, after I wrap up today's stream, I will like sit back here and like just stare at it and be like, okay, this is how I fix it. That's because that's what usually happens. Honest to God, like most of the time I will like stare at something being like, oh, this is the obvious way to fix this. I might just turn this into a list. That might be the end. That might be the end goal here. Wouldn't be ideal, but I can do it. If we want to make this correct, so utility would be move. So if we want to do, so it'll be, we want to move, we want to swap equipment, we want to actually swap, we want to use equipment. So I'm gonna have to write in there being like, this also kind of subs out like, take it. Not only is using equipment, it is also subbing out equipment. So if you want to, hey, I want to sheath my sword and bring out my Glock, you can. Like, here's my divine weapon, the Glock. Use equipment. Focus is going to be our initiative thing. I usually like bringing this in case someone's like, I've just been very unlucky and I can't roll for shit. I am in complete agony. Please send help. We can do aim. Actually, not aim. We can do something like this. The obvious move is move, obviously. Moving is pretty simple to understand. Using equipment's pretty easy to understand. Focusing is going to be their pinpoint. I don't quite have a better name for it. But the entire idea is pinpointing is you're trying to effectively use you're trying to get like a small bonus to your actual to hit. That's for I don't want to move. I don't have anything else to do. I'm just going to try to hit you harder. Or I'm going to hit you more efficiently. Actually, I could probably put in like a snap strike. Actually, do something like not defensive stance. We do something like that. So if we do the idea of defend, so let's start from the top. Defend. The hero chooses to focus on defending. Focus on defending themselves. Chooses to focus on defending themselves. They gain a plus. They gain a plus. In a wheel. Who's focused on defending themselves. They gain a wheel on their next defense check, on their next defense challenge. Pretty simple to understand. You're trying to defend yourself. You can try to block better, or you can try to evade better. You only get it once though, so it's like, I'm going to get hit by a giant. I'm going to defend myself because I'm going to get fucking flattened. Focus. The hero must. Shoot on their next initiative challenge. Again, whale, pretty much what whale effectively is turning your D4 to a D6 or your D6 to a D8. It's improving your hero die. You're getting a better die at the end of the day. That's really all it is. Which we can do. Put this right here. That's what you really want. You're just trying to manipulate to get a better die to make your life easier. And making your life easier is great. We like that. We want to do this. Then we can do a minor interaction. Makes a challenge roll that takes a small amount of time or effort on their part. On their part, able to continue the fight unimpeded. Generally speaking, things like minor challenges are like, hey, can I spot the thing? Can I do a thing really quick? It's that quick action that you can do very easily. Minor interaction. Hero interacts with a feature on the field, such as kicking open a door. Or tossing a stone at a button. We're tossing a stone at a button. This takes this is quick and easy. It may require a challenge. Like, that's kind of the idea. Move. The hero moves to an adjacent zone of their choice. See, the hero moves to an adjacent zone of their choice. If they are in the same zone as it. They are in the same zone. Actually, the hero moves up to two connected zones. Moves up to two connected zones away. What? If they are currently in the same zone as an enemy, they may only move one zone. That's your disengage rule. Normally, you can move two zones. If you're there, you have to disengage. You can only move one. That's the compromise. Snap strike. The hero chooses. Let's see. The hero. The hero makes a quick attack. Make a quick attack at an enemy within range of their weapon. They will roll their weapons to hit and any modifier. They will roll their weapons to hit and any modifiers. If they strike their opponent, they will hit and will deal only one die of their weapon's damage. Normally, weapons damage is going to be written as a challenge, so it's going to be like body plus body, or like, oh, you know, if you're using like a whip or something, it's going to be like prowess plus prowess, or, you know, prowess plus prowess, or something like that. Making a snap strike is, I'm making an attack, however, I can only add one. That's pretty much it. Like, it's a very quick little action. It's mostly for people who are like, I'm in the middle of a fight. I can't do anything. I don't want to do anything else. I just want to beat the shit out of my enemy, and I don't want to defend. I'm going to make a snap strike. Something little to give people something to do effectively, and I'm fine with that. The hero chooses to use equipment on their piece of equipment on their person, such as tinctures, potions, or bombs they may have acquired. If they are switching weapons, this action must be used. They are switching, you know, actually this action must. There you go. That's kind of the idea of being like, hey, you're using this action to actively like switch something out. No, this is how you... Half of me is really tempted, mind you. Half of me is very tempted to just get rid of, like, you're just doing a standard attack up here. We just roll the exact same thing. You just deal your weapons damage. With the idea, and then in the equipment section, yeah, I think that... And then in the equipment section, we make a note about it. So it's just going to be an attack. Okay, how about we do that? I think that's going to be a little bit better. What we can do a standard attack. Actually, we'll do attack. We'll do an attack. No, we'll do a... Okay, we'll call it something. We'll call it something stupid. We'll call it a strike to make sure everybody is slightly confused by it, because that's what we do here. The hero lashes. Attacks in enemy within the same in range. They will roll their weapons to hit and add any modifiers. They strike their opponent's defense. They've successfully hit and will deal weapons damage. Can add the domains of their choice. Actually, no, we're not going to add this bit, but what I am going to do is I'm going to go back up to armaments. I'm going to make a call here. We're going to do strike, striking, strike. Actually, we're going to do strike/snap. So you can do a full strike, or it also counts for a snap attack. Heartseeker must be a strike. Rushdown must be a strike. Bow, aim true, must be a strike. Flash step, we're going to keep that as defense. Cleave must be a strike. Guardian, don't. About that. Offense can be strike/snap. Does also take drive. That is fine. Defense X drive. Okay, yeah. Pretty much that. So we do that. Do we want to call that something else? Snap strike. Actually, we can probably call it like a snap attack. No, we'll call it a snap strike. Strike versus a snap strike. I think that's wording's a little... It sounds weird, but I think it works. Kind of the idea, like, you are striking an enemy. If you're making a strike against an enemy, you are making like a dedicated, like, I am going to stab you. I am a brutal murderer, and I am going to heroically kill you. Snap strikes are like, I've hit you once, and then I like quickly do another thing real fast. It's a quick attack. What you can also do as well, if you know an enemy is weak in front of you, you can make a snap strike instead. Hey, I know for a fact this minion's gonna go down in one hit. I'm just gonna snap strike him and then immediately do a strike on the big guy. So it's like, okay, I'm taking care of one guy, then I can deal with another. Or just do a shit ton of damage to one person. Okay, armament. So we do all of these. Defend, we want to do, do defensive posture instead. Because you're making a defensive posture. It's different from defending because I wanted to make it sound a little bit different. Each attack from each with sword, choose to rush down. So each type of strike may be augmented by their armament. Rush down, then they are making a melee strike. They are making melee strike. Some of these actions will require expenditure drive to perform any kind of thing with a keyword. Any kind of strike can be modified by the current keywords. Under a strike, they roll the normal, resolving effects that strike home. Actually, what we can do is we do this, and then we put... oh, God, we are right on the fucking money there. God. Little bit close for comfort. Little bit close. But if we do that, I think that looks a little bit... not great. It doesn't look great, but it does work. So it gives you a lot of... it keeps things a little bit easier. So it's like you can always take a major action, which is legitimately going to be just a time-consuming thing. Most of the time it's going to be striking. But if you do need to move, you can move. If you do just want to do, you know, double focus, you can do that. You do have that as an option. It's not encouraged, but you can do it. Then we add in an image right here to kind of understand, like, yep, this is the combat section, be cool and do combat. Which does bring me to defensive actions. Indented shield. Well, when an enemy is attacking the hero, they do not roll a challenge. The hero. It's all up to the hero to defend themselves. A hero will have a challenge. Well, they do not roll. Actually, they do not roll. It's all up to the hero to defend themselves. They will have a challenge of their choice to protect themselves. Instead, most heroes. I'm gonna say most heroes can perform one of two. Actually, most heroes can perform one of two defensive. Perform one of three. No, fuck. If we call it a reactive action. Oh geez, Rick. If we call these reactive actions, it sounds really weird, but it makes complete sense. The question, since I came back now, yes. What kind of questions are we asking? What's up? What's, as they say in the hood, poppin'? Comment as the attacker rules have to be a TN. Just the attacker. pretty much anytime an enemy is going to attack you, you have to beat their attack pretty much. That's what it is. If anytime you are being attacked, you know, anytime you're attacking an enemy, you have to beat their TN. Anytime an enemy is attacking you, you have to beat their TN. That's pretty much it. It's not too complicated. It's player facing. I think that'll be a better idea for this to kind of reflect like, hey, you're a kind of a larger than life hero doing things. And you will be presented with problems, and that should be an important thing. Have you made any system where both attackers and defenders roll? Yes, I've made a few. Like a lot of, like the entirety of like Fist of Chaos, for example, that is an entirely opposed roll system. That is a very detailed opposed roll system, in fact, where everything you do is just you rolling against one another. Usually, honestly, that's usually my default when it comes to things. I haven't been doing it as often now, because I find it easier, generally speaking. Like, I say this nicely, it is easier to do it this way. Because if we do it this way, it pretty much takes a lot of effort off the GM, and they can just now focus on doing shit. Like, yeah, I don't have to worry about, you know, managing every single enemy now. Like, there are multiple roles. It's just that one thing doing it. But that's story game bullshit. I know, but it's easy. But yeah, no, it's usually when I opt to go for like a everybody is rolling, combat's usually a lot more. Like, I think I made the right call when I said, hey, we're just going to make it like combat, you know, offense, defense. That's all you're going to be doing, offense and defense. Because that's simple, it's easy, and it allows me to kind of play around in other aspects of the game. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Yeah. I am most likely, weapon-wise, what kind of weapons is most things are going to be broken up into kind of like more broad categories. It's going to be like, here's axes, here are axes, swords. It's going to be some very simplistic weapon, but it's like, if you want to bring it's like, yeah, here's bows. And then like, do you want to bring a gun in? Yeah, you can bring a gun in. It counts as a fucking ranged weapon. The thing is with what I plan on doing with like bows and stuff is a bow, you know, kind of like, even like any ranged weapon is probably going to have a flat value for a lot of things. Like, you're going to roll like maybe one die or something. But yeah, no, if you want to play like a cowboy demigod of fucking, there is no god of fucking firearms, but it's like, hey, my dad's Hephaestus and he built the first gun. Like, yeah, you want to do that, you totally fucking can. I'm not going to stop you on that. Behold my secret weapon, the gun. There's no IKEA domain, since you can't make Odin. I mean, in sheer technicality, in how I plan on doing manifestations, is if you want to manifest yourself as like the furniture domain, I cannot and will not stop you. I have no idea why you would want to have the fucking furniture domain. Like, yeah, hey guys, my dad's Odin. What's your superpower? Oh, well, I can see the future. Oh, I have control of lightning. I can do all these things. What do you do? I make tables. What do you mean you make tables? And you clap your hand, and there's a perfectly fucking pre-assembled chair for you. Then the same could probably be a gun god. I mean, in theory, let's do a little bit of thinking here, a little bit of thunking. If we go under the idea of like Greek god of technology, if we think about that, just technology, it would be Hephaestus. So if we're effectively to the Greeks, Hephaestus would have invented the first firearm. Like, like, have no fear, I have invented the gun. And in turn Vulcan would have invented the gun. If we want to do, it would be like if we go to like Egypt, Ptah would be the guy who would be like, have no fear, I've invented the gun. If we go under Norse would be Mimir. I guess Mimir, like a god of wisdom. I guess that would be like, if we're thinking like advancement of learning of I mean, let me think. It would be like do we have one of crafting? Again, Enki sounds pretty like a Sumerian god of intelligence, crafts, mischief, water, and creation. Hello, everybody. My name is Enki. Man, what have you created? The AK-47. Like, oh fuck. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, I guess Odin. It would be either Mimir or Odin would have invented the firearm for the Norse. Knowledge deity is like, I mean, Minerva may have done that, or Vulcan. It would be Vulcan probably in mine thinking. Let's think, like, let's see. I probably, you'll probably hear war, victory, and knowledge. Muragan. You know, the ancient god traceable to the Vedic period, hailed as, father planet due to like Koranji reason. Yeah, so the 6 heads. Yes, have no fear. Here are my 6 heads. Why do you need 6 heads? So I can aim down every sight. Yeah, so China, there has to be. I mean, if we're looking at like Chinese divinity gets a little bit weird. If we do Chinese god of technology, if like Zhurong, I guess would be god of innovation. Fuxi. Yeah, it would be like Fuxi. Yeah. Fuxi is seen as mankind's first male ancestor, a cultural hero, one of the most benevolent gods in ancient China. There's several innovations that benefit humanity, like the invention of writing, fishing, and domestication. Most likely he wouldn't have done that, because he's too nice. True great martial emperor, let's see. The elect of Magu, symbolic protect. Nope, that's definitely not it. She is a Xian. She's immortal. Have no fear, everybody. God of innovation. Yeah, it legitimately there would be amusingly appropriate. Let's see. Zhurong is a god of fire in the south, so possibly Zhurong gave the world the gun. Yeah, welcome to to you, god of, let's see, yeah, Chuyu, mythological being, According to legend, a bronze head with a metal forehead. He had 4 eyes and 6 arms, sharp weapon in every hand, similar to the depiction of Feng Jie. And some, let's see, leader of the 9 Li tribe and all sources. Epic battle, epic battles. Well, thanks Wikipedia. Let's see, best known king who lost against the future Yellow Emperor during the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors era of Chinese mythology. Among the Hmong people, was courageous mythical king. He has particularly complex and controversial ancestry. Okay. Yeah. Have no fear, everybody. He's legitimately just an unkillable death god who got his shit rocked by the first emperor of reality. Good job, team. And who wonder ungodly but vastly powerful critters from different mythos, like titans, Chinese immortals, angel-like critters. Generally speaking, that's going to be kind of on a person by person basis. It's things like the titans exist. Of course they do, because the Greek gods exist, so the titans exist, because they made them. You know, the Chinese immortals. The Chinese immortals exist. They're out there because people believe in them. When you get to things like the angels and stuff, that's where things start getting a little bit funny-wunny, because just what happened to the Big G, otherwise known as the Big G, fucked off, and nobody knows what the fuck happened to him. He legitimately just left. He erased his name after performing some kind of miracle, and nobody knows what happened there. Shadow of the Demon Lord said angels are actually demons that feed on your religious zeal. Yeah, so it would be pretty much more along the idea of, like, yeah, do you find oh man, here's this fucking Jia badass. He's super cool. He's an immortal. Like, he's living in the fucking Golden City. What's his job? He's a fucking accountant, because that's what the celestial bureaucracy needs. You are not cool. You are a member of the celestial bureaucracy, and now start filing that fucking paperwork. God fucking damn it. You are immortal. You can immortally fill out paperwork for the rest of us. Hey, that golden core, damn straight. We gotta cultivate our golden core. And while you're doing that, please fill out these documents. We desperately need it. Like, we are backed up. Like, please, we are begging you. We are desperate. You know, that just kind of like shows up every now and again, you know, just like, all right, hey everybody. Again, it's the best way to picture China, how I wanted China to feel in Aether Space, is picture The Office, except everybody's godly. That's legitimately all. It's just one giant bureaucratic nightmare, and it's like, have no fear, everybody. Like, yeah, it's like, oh man, I lost my stapler. Well, shit, let me send some brave heroes to find my fucking stapler through our gigantic, endless halls of, paperwork. Fighting nightmare monsters along the way. Have no fear. Thank you for finding my, my stapler. Here's a reward. Go get the fuck out of my office. Divine office space. The final boss is the printer. Alright. Let's see. Defend themselves. Heroes possess each hero can perform a series of defensive actions. We call them defensive actions. We'll have a challenge to protect themselves. We'll have a challenge to protect themselves instead. A hero can choose to block, evade. Can choose to block or evade an attack at them. Choose to block or evade an attack at them. Actually, this we do this. You know, an enemy would do this. We pretty much only have two major options. You're going to either 1.2, 2. You're going to be 5.4, 5.4. There we go. You're going to be either blocking. You're going to block the. Or you're going to evade. And if you're blocking, what the idea is going to be, the hero makes a a challenge to actually the hero no, okay. The hero makes a hero rolls their body attribute. The amount, reducing the amount of damage they take by the value. They do not naturally add the rolls their body plus hero body attribute plus hero die. Amount of damage they take by the value. Blocking is your most reliable method of, like, you're just trying to reduce damage down. So if we go back up here, however, find armaments, which goes to here, which we do evasion instead of may have to clash with an enemy to opposed attack. Shakeable doubles the value of the hero die when using the block defensive action, which we do. I'll make a prediction instead of that. Okay. And the cell's complete. Which we do. Yeah, blocking is you're just trying to eat damage, which is going to be the value of shields. Evade, the hero makes a prowess. Makes a prowess plus prowess. Actually, I know. Makes a mind plus prowess. Makes a mind plus prowess challenge if they managed. If they manage to overcome their foe's attack, they avoid all damage. If they do not, they take all the damage. Which is the advantage of, say, actually, we can do more perception based, and like you're trying to dodge out of the way. Prowess is the most. Yeah, okay. God of first world problems. Let's be perfectly frank with ourselves. That's most fucking deities. The hero makes a mind plus challenge. If they manage to overcome their foe's attack, they avoid all damage. If they do not, they take all damage. They take all the damage. Not all attacks can be evaded. Not all attacks can be evaded. So yeah, that's kind of the God, what's a good option here? God, mind. If we're using the idea of mind, it's like, okay, I'm like trying to perceive being attacked by something. Actually, I mean, this is gonna be used once per enemy phase, so you can effectively evade once. That's the problem with evasion. You can use it once, because if we do that, then also makes the bow option here a little bit more enticing. No, I removed that, didn't I? Yeah, I did remove flash step. Yeah, they do have, they do. Yeah, they do. They have flash step. Flash step, I'm going to actually reduce. Flash step is the only thing they have to worry about. That's just an additional, thing they have, which we do defense action. Defense action, instead of evading, you can opt to clash to try to push away the blow. Yes, it does include using sword cut arrows in half into the arrow, or bow to block into Minotaur's axe. Okay. Try defensive action, block. There we go. Yeah. All right. This works pretty. We're going to put defense special here, simply because it's not necessarily an action. It's a little bit special. Because anyone using the wand is immediately a fucking weirdo. Evade has a lot of things with it. Heroes. As one maybe. It may appear that evading is strictly the better. It may appear that evading is strictly the better option, but one of the major inconveniences of it is its limited use, as well as, let's see, one of its major inconveniences of it is its limited use, as well as potential to be negated. It is up to the heroes to. This is where armaments can factor into these. Let's see, armaments can factor into these as well. Such as granting new defensive options, as well as allowing them to. Let's see, as well as allowing them to assist their allies. Yeah, like one of the advantages of being a shield is that you can block things a lot more easily. So at first you might be like, oh, my body is D10 plus D4, but it's like, oh, I'm going to be rolling 2D4. So oh, cool. You know, I've negated, you know, 6. I've negated 6 damage, which isn't a massive amount. But remember, every length of that hero die is just getting better. So it's like you level up and then suddenly, oh god. So you get more powerful, and now you're rolling 2d6 plus 1d10. So you roll that, and like, cool, you can roll a lot better. I negated 19 damage this time. And because you can actually soak a lot of damage for your allies. That's the point. That's what I want to kind of get across here. As well as them to assist their options as well to armaments can factor into these as well, such as granting new defensive actions as well as allowing allies domains can influence these these actions as well. Granting additional options. Between life and death. There we go. It's kind of more of a, hey, here's a thing that exists. Is there a multi-hit ranged attack? If you want to do a multi-hit ranged attack, we go to armaments. In theory, you could say rush down. Make up the hero die, attacks at the enemy individually rolled. Yeah, can be used against multiple targets. In theory, you can just rush down with a ranged weapon, and as long as you can hit, as long as you're hitting, you're doing fine. You're going to keep rolling. This does mean that, yeah, you can just fucking fan the hammer if you want and just gun down a bunch of shitters. It's going to cost you a lot of drive. That's kind of one of the bigger issues. It's going to cost you drive, which you have a very limited amount of. Okay. I feel like I should add another defensive action, but I don't know what. Again, it feels like there should be like one more of like action to like help with this. Kind of round out the defensive actions a little bit, because it's like, yeah, blocking is just reducing the damage. Evading is trying to avoid that damage outright. I guess I could, if I want to be a little bit of a shitter, I could take in the idea of, you know, just, you know, taking it on the face effectively. If you take it on the face, it's like you deal with it, but you can perform like a utility action or something. It's like you're taking the full amount of damage. However, you're opening yourself up to do something else. It's not the best option, but it may be your only option. Yeah, I'll think on this one. I'll think on like adding any additional defensive actions. There's a few ideas which may work, which may not work, depending on the situation. So it's kind of like one of those moment. But yeah, that's actually going to probably wrap up combat pretty easily. In fact, so if we do the idea of combat, you're going back and forth until someone's health is reduced to 0. If someone is like, so we can add in no, why? You're going to do ichor damage. That's what it's going to do. If you manage to hit, you're going to reduce their ichor. Well, you know, we'll readdress it here. If an attack lands, the hero will take. We'll take the value in ichor. We'll take in. We'll reduce their ichor by the amount dictated. Their ichor ever reaches, if their Reduce their Icar by the amount dictated. Actually, what we do, we can go up here. We find a refine Icar. If it reaches 0, they are incapacitated. It's like naturally. There we go. If heroes Icar, they are incapacitated during the state of torpor, they cannot act or perceive the world. They cannot act. They are not dead. If the hero is ever reduced to negative total Icar value, what? They are slain. They are slain. Kind of a curated. So they're kind of more of a curated version. Like if attack lands, you're going to reduce your Icar. What I am going to do, monsters and enemy. Most enemies. When an enemy's Icar is reduced to 0. When an enemy's Icar is reduced to 0, they instead are immediately slain unless the hero specifies. Unless the hero specifies, they are not. Unless the hero specifies, they are not. We should do minion enemy. Minion enemies will immediately capitulate. Will immediately capitulate if they are hit once. There we go. Kind of a we'll just throw that little note in. It's more of a note, more like, hey, kind of understand, like here's a read note about here's how Icar works. Now, if enemies are reduced to 0, they die immediately. Fucked. You're just dead. You are legitimately just a dead man. Let's see. I guess we could. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna call it here for tonight. Because I'm getting tired, my throat's killing me. But what I am going to do for myself, I will probably just write this tonight, which we're going to do, conditions. It's pretty much just this. Like, this won't be too hard to do. It's not going to be really that interesting to write. If everything goes according to plan, here's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to write domains. I have no idea how long writing all these domains will take. I have no clue of how easy it will be. I genuinely have not a single fucking plan for this. I will just sit here and I will power through every single one of these. I will attempt it, and if I succeed, awesome. But we're going to do every single domain and every single ability and keyword and thing that goes along with it. What'll happen then is after we get done with how the domains and in turn kind of the little minor powers, you could say, manifestations. That's what we're manifest. Once we get how this is actually worded and finished, I'm going to actually send it to the commissioner. I'm going to say, hey, the main meat of the game is done. I just have to write the GM section. What the GM section is legitimately going to be more of a how to make enemies section more than anything. And some like little notes like that on Friday if things go according to plan. If he's like, cool, I like this. I think this is a great idea. Good job, Notepad. Awesome. If he's like, this is fucking terrible, rewrite everything, then we'll start the rewriting process on Friday. Yeah, tomorrow you must die. Yeah, pretty much. Tomorrow is a Notepad must die moment. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to game. So, thank you all for watching. My name is Notepad Anon. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Next video is going to be out on Friday, so just kind of note that. That one's going to be on Emoclore, so that's going to be fun to talk about, because Emoclore is an interesting game. Not a very long game, but an interesting. Goodness gracious. Have din-din. Alright, I am, as they say, away.